Hello, everybody. This is Devin Francis, aka Leonard
Oh.
Meltzner.
Hi, guys.
This is,
Oh, yeah, this is Victoria. The one that wears the red hat in the
and
family.
yes, you are watching the answer to life, the universe, and everything. This is episode 42 of the Adventures in Odyssey Oddcast.
Oh, I get it.
Yes, very quick
I
on
thought you
that.
were just saying that in general, but you
That
actually had
Connie's
a...
quick. So, what are we talking about today, Victoria?
You know, you use that for me way too much.
That's because you let
we're...
it be applicable to you way too much.
Um, we're reviewing The Lone Lawman and then Castles and Cauldrons Part 2.
Yes. Last time, in a stroke of stupidity, I said that I didn't know what the other episode would be doing next time is, and I'd like, let's do Last Great Adventure of the Summer.
I wish we could do that one. That one's one of my favorite
And then I was
episodes.
looking at our episode list, and I was like, wait a minute. We still haven't done part 2 of Castles and Cauldrons yet, because they were so long between the recording, I completely forgot
I was
we were in the
hoping you
middle of doing a
forgot so we could
two-part
do
episode.
Last Great Adventure.
Yeah.
Because I like that one more.
Got a text from Sean. We just finished leading our Bible study for the first time. It went awesome. We have a bunch of great guys. It was exciting.
Anyway.
But going from analyzing Matthew 5 to analyzing some episodes. Yes, the August episode for the Adventures... Oh, now you have me saying it. The Odyssey Adventure
What?
Club. The Adventures in
What?
Odyssey Club, like you always call
Adventures in Odyssey Adventure Club.
it. Yeah. The OAC, episode 746, The Lone Lawman.
I'm saying it right. Everyone's just saying it wrong.
Oh. Almost forgot. Congratulations to Jennifer Lundgren
No.
for winning the second OAC subscription from our contest. She actually won it
Yay.
quite a while ago, but I kept on forgetting to mention it. So yes, congratulations. Both of our OAC subscriptions from our anniversary episode have now been given away. So yes, Jennifer has her money. Emily still needs to get her money because I keep forgetting to send it. I'm sorry. It's in my agenda now, so I can't forget. Okay. Lone Lawman, episode 746, written by Robert G. Lee. Victoria, a summary?
Lone Lawman is a kid's radio story about a man who pursues justice named the Lone Lawman and tries to hunt down a gang called Deadwood Jones's Gang. Along the way, he meets and saves a boy named Percy who is working with the gang until he had a change of heart. And then together, the two of them catch up to the gang, but they're too late to stop them. The lawman declares that he'll find the gang one day and rides off into the sunset. Not much happens in this episode.
See, that's a good short length. It's a good length. I mean,
Shut up, Devin.
Admittedly, yes, not a lot happens in this episode. It's my opinions of this
I
episode
summarized this
are not very
episode
high.
in a couple short words. It's like a live show gone horribly wrong. What do you think?
That's fair, I'd say.
I mean, I'm mostly
it's not
talking
as
about...
slapstick as a live show, but...
Well, I know. I'm mostly talking about Wooten when I say this.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
The part of the episode that we will get into later.
Let's get right into it.
Yeah.
I wonder how long it is going to be before we get a new opening sting from the beginning of these episodes. I don't think we've had a new one since the fourth one in April.
What do you mean?
The opening little bits.
Oh.
The parts
like,
that Garrett
hi,
mixes.
This is...
Yeah.
Oh, you mean those?
Yes.
Oh, A Day in the Life has a new one.
Oh, yay. Spoilers. It's not
Sorry.
September yet. But apparently there's one coming soon.
Yeah, I know. I listened to it and I'm like, ah!
Okay, so I did like the line, focus on the positives here. I did like the line, these kids' radio productions are rather labor intensive, more than most people realize. Yeah, I felt like that was a statement about making Odyssey and people's underappreciation for how much work goes into making an individual episode, and that is one of the few things which I liked about this, which, even though obviously from Wooten's perspective it doesn't show anywhere near the amount of work that goes into sound design, it at least kind of, throughout the episode, gives you a constant reminder of the fact that, like, oh yeah, all of these things we're hearing, other than the voices, actually have to be cued and created and found and stuff and put together by the sound designers. So, without making a statement on Wooten's part in the episode, at least that was a positive thing.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, I hate to say this, but because Devin and I are big fans of Riley, I think he's been replaced with, what's his name?
Brian McCarthy.
No, his name's not, or did you say Brian?
Brian McCarthy.
No, his name's Brian.
That's what I said, Brian
I
McCarthy.
thought you said Ryan. Yeah, he's been replaced by Brian, I'm pretty sure, because I don't know how, but I mistook them saying, Brian for Riley in 2 episodes. I don't know how that's
How did you mix up
possible.
Brian with Riley?
I don't know. I think it was choice hearing.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And also, they sound so alike. And then I actually had to AIO wiki it, because, yeah. I don't know why they would replace Riley if they have a VA that sounds so identical to him.
Riley was such an awesome character.
I know, I'm so sad. Who else will share our appreciation of manga?
And Dulcimers.
And Dulcimers. And like, no one feels for Elvis the way Riley and Jay do. Like, soulmates.
What a connection, yeah.
Yeah.
It, on another bright note, at least, it has been quite a long time since we've had a full episode that's like a kids' radio episode, to my recollection, at least, especially a Western.
Made another one.
I don't know why it took me so long to notice that this title was supposed to be like the Lone Ranger. I should have picked up on that sooner.
Okay, I just got that now.
It wasn't until...
Does that make you feel better?
It wasn't until Whit said, the Lone Lawman, and in my mind, I finished it, the Lone Ranger, and I was like, that does make sense, yes.
I just kept on thinking of, like, all the other Western kids' radios things we've done. I kept on just thinking of...
Silver Saddle Slapper Stephanie.
No, it was the...
Matt
Samaritan,
Cartwood.
the Good Samaritan one, whatever it's called. Yeah,
that
just
was
like
just back on the airwave.
Yeah, back on over
back
the
on
airwave.
Yeah.
No.
Big broadcast.
Yeah,
right?
big broadcast.
Over the
like,
airwaves.
Lines from that kept on
Cartwood
popping
one.
up into my head, and then after a certain point, there were so many I couldn't tell what I was actually listening to anymore. So I had to listen to it again right now.
What is it about Westerns that requires them to be like 85% puns? Like every single Western that we've ever had is just puns all the time.
You mean on Odyssey, or?
Yeah. And Sky Weldon too, actually.
Maybe. Well, Sky Weldon, it was very
was based
parody,
on
so.
Over the Airwaves, true.
I don't know, like, back then, some people did have more unusual names, so I guess you can just get away with more stuff.
Yeah, I guess
maybe
so.
they really like alliteration.
So, Wells Fargo Wagon got me excited for a minute, but then I just realized, I was like, please don't let this entire thing be a whole bunch of slapstick. And then it proceeded to be a whole bunch of slapstick and puns. I was guessing from the beginning that the episode was going to be about the need for Christian community when he was talking to the pastor and stuff, because he's like, the lone lawman. And I thought it was funny, because just 2 days before listening to it, the sermon at our campus group was about the need for Christian community, and our pastor opened by comparing it to the Lone Ranger. And talking about the Lone Ranger, and then we're talking about this, and he was talking to the pastor about, like, I work alone.
And then you came in, and you're like, oh, it's gonna be the same thing. You came out, and you're like, that was nothing like it.
And I'll get to this at the end, but that's what, okay.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure Eugene was canonically doing, like, Harlow's voice, as well as the other deep one.
Yeah. Like, do you think anyone ever walks up to him, and they're like, you know, your voice, when you do that, reminds me of someone else, but I'm not sure who. David
Harley?
Yeah, he who must not be named.
Yeah.
So I think we should finally touch on the subject of Wooten in this episode. I miss life expectancy's Wooten so much.
Who is Robert G. Lee? He's never written an episode before. Like, is he a new
Isn't he
writer?
that guy that like Rodney tried to forge the signature for and then give it to Sam? That was my first thought.
That's Robert E. Lee, Victoria.
Oh. But didn't he like write the middle initial wrong? And
Yeah, he wrote Robert M. Lee.
Oh. Well, one of the letters in the alphabet.
Yes, it was. Very good. He did have a letter for a middle initial, in fact. He wasn't Robert 7 Lee. Or Robert...
Shut up.
$ Lee, or...
You don't know that.
Go on.
You don't know that.
On the topic of Wooten.
So... do you ever just listen to Wooten and then you're like, what happened?
Yes.
Sometimes I'm still not sure if I like Penny that much, honestly. I do like her, but I'm still kind of at the point where I like her, but anything could put me off, like, and make me dislike her. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like when she sang
that too?
When she sang that chemistry song and no chemistry
yes.
whatsoever.
And also when she's like doing the weird poems after Connie's mom died or something like that. I can't remember what it was. Like, she was being super... No, it wasn't. There's, like, something around life expectancies where she was being, like, super insensitive about something. And I was just like, I want to like you, but you're making it so hard.
Kimmy, why?
Like, I want to like Penny, but I'm just not sure if I do yet. I feel bad for it, but... It's nothing against her voice actor. Her voice actor's awesome. No.
Anyways, so...
Yeah. So, Wooten. Let's talk about him. You start.
I don't have anything written about him, actually, because I didn't really think about anything specifically to write down, but I mean, you know, obviously on the topic, I can definitely add to what you have to say, because, you know...
Are you making me go first?
Yeah.
Okay. So, kind of falls into the category of, like, why I didn't enjoy Wooten in this episode falls into the same category as why I don't enjoy live shows as much as lots of other shows, which is, even though the sound design for everything in Odyssey is amazing, even the sound design in the live shows is amazing, it's just they try really hard to a point where lots of the things aren't funny at all. Do you know what I mean?
Because they try and cater to the younger kids for the live shows.
Yeah, I know. And...
Because, I mean, you know, you may have a lot of kids there, but the kids aren't the ones who travel 5,000 miles to be
It feels like they have them there, so they just kind of want to, like, show them off and do everything they can.
Yeah.
And it just seems like
the live
very
shows or
cluttered.
the Foley shows kind of thing.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it kind of feels cluttered sound design-wise. And you feel kind of, like, awkward listening to it, because you're... I don't know, it's just this air of awkwardness surrounding it. That's the best way I can describe it.
So, yeah. I really don't have a lot to say about this episode.
Not much happened in it.
Yeah, there's nothing really fascinating in it, both moral and plot-wise. It's really cliched, and the majority of the jokes just fall flat.
And then also, at the point where they, like, try and give a moral, like in the intermission or something, oh, we got a new commercial. We got a new Odyssey commercial.
True. Yes.
In the middle. I liked that. I thought you would like that, too.
I didn't really think about it, but true,
type thing. Yeah, the first time I heard it, I'm just like, oh, we have a new jumbo fork. Yeah. And,
microwaved with super watch.
In the middle.
Don't like plastic stuff.
In the middle of the episode, Wit goes up to...
Witten and Woot.
Wit goes up to Brian, and then he's just like, I'm gonna give you the moral of the episode. And Brian's like, I've already read through the script. I know what the moral of the episode is. And then Wit's kind of like...
says, I've already looked through
yeah, I know. And then Wit's just like, okay, this was kind of pointless. And then it just continues on with the episode. And you're like, what was the point of that scene?
The moral felt very... I don't know. It was just like... I don't think I can quite say tacked on because it wasn't quite that abrupt.
Because they
But
did cover it at the beginning and in the middle-ish and at the end-ish.
here's the thing. It really wasn't the lesson that I was expecting or what I think that it should have been. Like I was saying, and I mean I could be biased because I just heard a sermon relating to it before, but it seemed as we were going through the episode, what I felt the biggest character flaw in the lone lawman and what I thought was going to be addressed was his independence, his lack of fellowship, because it's in his name, right? He's alone. He keeps on going off, and it's not only at the beginning, it's explicitly pointed out, like he's talking to the pastor about, like, I don't have time for church because I'm going after them, isolation from a Christian community. And then
I thought it was going to be like the boy who didn't go to church, but then...
Yeah, exactly. And then every single time...
And I was actually kind of excited for that.
Every single time the bad guys show up, they're like, okay, let's go in together, right? And he's like, boom, I'm going off by myself. And so I figured, it's going to be about, like, teamwork, and we need to work together as a body in Christ, right? We can't, go it alone.
That lesson actually could have been applied better than the one they had.
That's my point. That's what should have been the lesson. And then it's just blah, 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 and we got something about mercy. I was like, what?
Yeah. Also, I didn't expect the ending. Like, when we say not much happened in this episode, we really mean not much happened. Like, it kind of ends with you saying, like, what just transpired here?
Nothing transpired.
What?
Nothing transpired. That was
I know.
It was like half the plot of an episode, and then it was over.
That's why I had to listen to it again before recording this. Like, along with the episode summary, I'm like, I feel like nothing actually happened, so I need to listen to it again. I listened to it again, I'm like, okay, I did get everything the first time. I thought I was missing a bunch, because it felt so empty. Like, they kind of just started at this point, at the beginning of the episode, with, like, the people, and then the lone lawman stays away from them, and then there's the gang he's hunting down, and then Percy's with the gang. And by the end of the episode, you have the people of the town and the lone lawman staying away from them. He's hunting the gang still. Everything's the same. The only thing that's different is Percy is with the people in the village, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't really seem like a normal Western ending. Like, a normal Western ending is like, oh, we get the bad guys, we tie them up, and then
the thing that worries me about
stuff, and then we ride into the sunset. But he's just like, no, I'm just gonna end it in the middle of the episode and ride into the sunset.
It almost makes me feel a bit worried that they did that because they want to continue on with that, but I really don't think that they would.
No.
Like, the format really doesn't suggest, like, it's going to be continued in any way, which I'm very glad about. So at least there was a clarification from Jason between mercy and grace with that little saying, which I've always said myself, so I liked that. Also a Robert Frost quote. So that was good. I am really curious, like I said, about the writer for this episode, because I've never heard the name before. He doesn't even have a page on AIOO Wiki yet, so
maybe he's a new writer.
Is he a new writer? Which is, I'm like... Or maybe he was just someone brought in for a special reason, or maybe it was like a contest or something like that. Like, maybe he was the winner to the contest for this year if they did it again. I can't remember the script writing scholarship contest. And that would explain it.
Yeah. Imagine if you didn't have a subscription to the OAC and is like, oh, to listen to your episode, you have to buy one.
I know that they had to pull the original winner for the first scholarship contest. They had to pull her script because even though they liked it, by the time it was going to be released, it wasn't matching up with the character lines for the characters anymore. So I don't know. I don't remember what they did to fill that. So I think they might have chosen the runner-up, and that might have been this one.
Anyway.
Oh, wait, no. Or was that Big Trouble Under the Big Top? Either way, this is why usually the writers write the episodes. Well, then came the video. So there's all the online content stuff. At least we got some...
I'll let you cover this part.
Yeah, because you never watch it.
I did once for Drake.
At least there was a bunch of coverage for Will Ryan and the Cactus Cowboys. So that's kind of cool.
Isn't that his band?
Yeah, even though they use kind of an odd song. I don't know. I must say, I have a lot more preference for the type of video from January where we got an exploration of Ugandan culture and learned about the history of the Karamojan conflict, as opposed to one like this where it's a bunch of
who are the people that we were sponsoring?
No charity again this month.
Oh. Who does that money go to?
Just the OAC then.
Oh.
Like the one in January, like, January, February, it was like this cool, like, historical and cultural documentary. And then the ones like this, they went to a dude ranch and you learn how to brush horses, and they put in some, like, little slapstick stuff in there and a music video from Will Ryan's band. And there was basically no talking about the moral of the episode at all.
Well, there wasn't much of a moral in this episode.
Yeah. All in all,
maybe they like wrote the episode and they're like, oh no, we forgot to put the moral in.
But see, here's the thing, like, even after the regular video was over, in the bit where you're going through the pages and stuff, there was a video about a charity called Mercy Ships, which are these ships that go down the coast of Africa, and doctors and pediatricians, optometrists and surgeons and stuff will volunteer and go, and people in Africa who are sick will travel to the coast, and as it comes by, they'll do free surgery and stuff like this for all these people. And they had this little story about this mom who had 3 blind kids, and they'd never seen it, and she brought them to the ship there, and they stayed overnight, and all 3 kids got cataract surgery, and they were able to see. And it's like, this is really cool. It's like, why wasn't this in the main video? Why wasn't this the charity of the month instead of having nothing again? Like, why couldn't we spend more time focusing on this? Because that was really cool.
I think it's because they want all the charities to relate, and so they have some trouble with that.
Thematically, it relates. I mean, it's not the strongest connection, but it's better than nothing, right? That's a really cool charity to support. It's better than not having anything.
Yeah, I feel like I should say something good about the episode.
Overall, I give it 2 out of 5 for reasons which I think I have already spoken enough. I was
gonna give it
cliched,
2.5.
nothing happened, and the jokes weren't funny, basically.
I was gonna
very
give
negative.
I was gonna give it 2.5 stars, but then I was like, no, I should give it 3 stars, because, like, nothing bad came from this episode that bad. But after talking about it with you,
I've lowered your opinion even more.
No, I think it was I lowered my own opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know, like 2 stars. Because the plot isn't that bad. If you just want to listen to a normal Odyssey episode, have some fun.
It is subnormal, though.
It's a very simple episode.
It's below the bar of the average episode. Not by a whole lot.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's
why I was thinking, like, 2.5, but nothing really bad came from it.
That's 50%, 2.5.
It was just kind of a boring episode, so... Yeah, 2 stars. I can't say I really like Brian that much, because I'm just in sadness.
Yeah.
I'm really sad about Riley.
He will return. I believe. Come back, Riley. You were the best character.
Tomorrow night, look for a shooting star, then wish that Riley will return.
We'll sing Come Back, Jimmy, but with Riley.
Come back, Riley, we know it's true. All my manga I want to read with you.
All right, speaking of Jimmy Barkley now, we're moving into our other review for episode 1, 2, 3. Castles and Cauldrons, Part 2. Yes.
So,
episode 123,
episode summary,
written by Paul McCusker.
Who was the writer, Devin?
Paul McCusker.
Might as well say it again.
Of course.
So,
we love you, Paul.
CNC Part 2. What?
I said, we love you, Paul.
Yeah, we love you, Paul.
2 ties that bind.
Yeah.
You're doing awesome. Other than a certain annoyance, but we'll get there next week.
Yeah. Anyway, I had my Ties That Bind 2-part review right here, or summary. I could read that instead. So, CNC Part 2. Jimmy and Glenn go to Whit's End and meet Whit and Connie. Whit becomes suspicious of their behavior and decides to look into it. Later, George tells Jimmy that the real reason Glenn came to visit them is that he's been acting... That's what I said.
I thought you said Glenn. Sorry.
I did.
Len.
Not
L-E-N.
I thought his name was Glenn. I couldn't remember it, and I didn't listen to the... Okay.
Not Glenn Adams.
Sorry, it's been a while.
It's all right.
And then Len came to visit them, and he's been acting weird lately as of late. And George warns Jimmy to be careful, just in case. That night, while camping, Len and Jimmy start playing the game again. and Len tries to summon Luther, the magician, or whatever his name is.
Jimmy is Luther, the magician.
No.
He tries to summon Shaman.
Oh, right.
Jimmy's Luther. No, he's Luther, sorry.
This is what I get for not listening to the episode, because I was listening to the other episodes in preparation.
That is what you get.
Okay, so summon what's-his-face, Satan, in board game form.
Yes.
Much to Jimmy's fear and objection.
Yeah.
But then Len is stopped when Whit and George save them. Well, mostly save Jimmy. And in the end, Len gets counseling, Whit destroys Len's game equipment, and Jimmy learns a lesson and decides to stay away from role-playing games.
Here I got to go rant about again. You know, for so long, as I talked about last time, I was happy about this episode's balance of, like, talking about the possible dangers while also balancing out, you know, an explanation that this is a worst-case scenario and not a normal scenario. But upon re-listening to it, as I was saying last time, it really doesn't do as well as I thought it did in not over-sensationalizing it. Not that the spiritual stuff, I mean, the spiritual explanations of stuff are actually, like, phenomenal for this episode, but still, it doesn't do a good job at not making it sound like if you play an RPG, you are going to hell and you'll be possessed.
You will die!
Yeah. RPG.
I can't believe that's a real thing.
You know, when someone is so scared to let Whit know anything about what you're doing, then what you're doing is probably a bad idea, and you probably shouldn't be trusting that person. Like, Mr. Whittaker is someone who would stop the game. But why? Because it's a bad idea. That's a warning sign, Jimmy. And goodness, there's some creepy music in this episode.
Okay, remember, guys, back to a couple of reviews ago, when we did the first one, I was talking about creepy music and, like, atmosphere that this had going on. And, like, John Campbell is like, what was he even doing to come up with this?
LSD. I don't know.
I don't know.
In a good way. Good LSD. Not that we're advocating doing acid, kids.
Do you need a minute?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I think I do.
Okay. Weirdest thing in this episode.
Anyway, the music is amazing in this episode, and it is terrifying on so many levels, and... sorry, I can do it now. Remember when I said that I have trouble listening to this one? I don't really have trouble listening to it. It creeps me out listening to it at night in the dark. It does in the first part too, but the biggest thing I was talking about when I said it creeps me out was I was talking about the tent scene. Okay, is this episode the one where they have, like, the scene where they're talking about, like, all the powers and stuff?
Yeah. I think.
Okay.
Wait, you mean when Len is talking about powers?
Yeah.
That was last time.
Or is that the last one? Okay, I forgot to say this. It's the first one? Okay. I forgot to say this last time, so I'm just gonna say it now. Ignoring Len, I really, really love that scene. Because, like, every single time I listen to it, I don't know how, but, like, okay, Jimmy is the comedic relief.
Oh, I see what you're getting.
In that scene? Yeah. And somehow
that
scene
power
just
scene.
gets...
I think that is in this one. Sorry. I thought you meant when Len was talking about the powers that other kids have, like seeing things through the eyes
like
of
when they
birds.
have, like, the candles
when
in the room and stuff.
Yeah, when he's talking about who has power, and he's like, you mean to clean the room and stuff?
I don't know how, but that scene just gets funnier and funnier every single time I listen to it. We'll give you powers like you've never seen. Like the powers to clean your room without getting off your bed.
It's like when the CMC were captured by Queen Chrysalis.
Right. And it's just like, oh my gosh, this is probably one of my favorite Jimmy moments where he's just being like super ridiculous, like the like next to all that stuff.
Yep.
Like, Dave,
just the
we love you.
Interesting. Never thought about it like that. For me, the creepiest scene in this, I don't know if I want to say creepy because I mean it is creepy.
Also,
but
scene is
what?
the really.
Oh yeah, but calling it creepy kind of makes it worse. weird is a better term, and I know lots of people
Yeah.
pointed it out, like, what the heck is the weirdness of George's talk with Jimmy while he's having his bath?
I've thought about that before. I try not to bring too much attention to it.
I know,
'Cause
I don't know, I've never...
I don't know, I've thought about it before, but never really enough. Like, every single
I
time
mean,
I start
Jimmy's
thinking
like
about it, I'm like,
8 or
no, and
9
I
here,
stop.
right? I don't know, I just try and gloss over that.
I don't know,
Okay.
maybe it's just, like, he wasn't necessarily in the bath, was he? Or was he? I think
He was. You can hear him splashing around.
Well, George might have been, like, facing the other direction.
That's what I picture in my mind. Not that I'm
Yeah.
picturing Jimmy in the bath in my mind, but you know what I mean. I like to believe that George is facing
Dave,
away.
if I were you, I'd get a restraining order.
Yeah. So, like I said before, the thing I'm the most appreciative of in these episodes is Whit and his reactions and explanations of the spiritual side of things. I'm also surprised that based on hearing about Donna's torn dolls, that he was able to remember reading about... I don't know exactly. Was he reading about an article about kids making ritual sacrifices for RPGs? Something about...
I don't know, maybe it was one of those things you see online. It's talking about, like, a popular TV show, and it's like, this is why the show is the devil.
Something...
Like Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, I see things like Yu-Gi-Oh! And, like, red versus blue, and it's like, this is Satan's show, and I'm like, no, it isn't. Or if they swear in it, that does not mean it's a bad show.
Something about classic pagan rituals, and he connected it to the game, maybe? Either way... Go Whit. And he does say, and I quote, some of the role-playing games may be silly and harmless. That's the quote which I'd like to emphasize here. The episode does say it, but I really wish it was emphasized more. But, well, what's done is done, and at least it's in there.
Haters gotta hate. Gonna hate.
Are you calling me a hater?
No, I'm calling other people haters.
Oh, I see. Like our audience, or just people in general?
People who complain about this on message boards like this.
I see. On the, speaking of phrases other people are saying, there are a lot of phrases that Len is using that should be major warning signs for Jimmy as well. I'm actually quite surprised by Jimmy, to be honest. His belief
every single time I listen to this episode, I'm like, is he not paying attention, or is he, like, focused on something else? Like,
I know. I'm guessing it's belief perseverance. That's the only thing I could think of. Like, he wants to believe that Len is good and his friend, so he kind of willingly is in denial of the things
Len
that he's saying.
Len is, like, his older cousin, right?
Yeah, so he's kind of like, looking up to him.
Yeah, look up to him and stuff. Like, I don't know about you or, like, other members in the audience, but for me, hanging out with my older girl cousins is, like, the coolest thing ever.
Aww.
And...
I don't have any.
It's like to that point where, like, even if you're a kid, you're like, oh, I'll do anything to hang out with you except me. And then once you're older, you're like, what was wrong with me? And then they're like, do you want to hang out? And you're like, yes. But not to that extent.
Well, Brittany's pretty cool, to be fair.
Yeah,
so.
Brittany and Tiff and Amanda.
Yeah. I guess Ouija board is copyrighted. That's my guess about why they have to call it a board of talisman. Or just because that's the Ouija theme board for the game, and that would be why. But either way, Hasbro, I believe, has the copyright on the Ouija board.
That should be signs for something, but I'm not sure what.
Yeah, I know, right? When I found that out, I was like... I know. So, speaking
No wonder their shows are so popular.
Speaking of warning signs for Jimmy, okay, so finally Jimmy, like, snaps at Len. So taking Donna's doll is what snaps Jimmy out of things? Really?
I don't know, but I always just really loved, like, the voice acting in this two-parter is amazing. Especially the line just like the fear and, like, everything encompassed in the line. You do say that about everything, to be fair. You stole Donna's doll? And he was like, no, but you really did? And I just love the read on that line so much, like, in comparison to everything else. Everything.
You say that a lot?
So amazing. What?
Like, I mean, like, this was such amazing voice acting. I love the read on all these lines.
That's
Say that about,
I love
everything.
all the voice actors.
Anyways, yeah, but about that point, like, Len just talked about using a fortune-telling board to perform a ritual ceremony sacrifice to summon a spirit to break a curse, and the fact that he stole Donna's doll is what's suddenly breaking you out of... What? Like, Jimmy.
So, you're trying to summon a demon... You're doing a blood ritual. We're probably gonna have to, like, cut our thumbs or something like that.
You stole Donna's doll.
We've been praying to gosh knows what, but you stole my sister's doll? What? You monster! What is wrong with you?
Exactly. Oi. Okay.
I don't want to pick on that too long because I really do like his read for that line.
But it's a good point, isn't it?
Yeah. But just think about, like, that's just, like, the moment where he finally snaps. Like, I think he was suspicious of
we'll call
Len.
it the straw that broke the camel's back and call it even.
But, like, even if you... I know, I'm not gonna say, like, Jimmy was pretty oblivious in this two-parter. But, like, ever since, there were lots of moments in the two-parter where you could tell, like, he's building suspicion.
Yeah.
Like, I think the first big
And it was obviously it was a very big,
gradual.
like, step-by-step process. Yeah, it was the process of little concessions to what he was doing with Glenn, and it built up into more and more questionable territory.
Like, sorry, I'm gonna do a quick rant. So
Okay.
I'm gonna do an analysis of Jimmy's character through Castles and Cauldrons Part 1 and 2. Feel free to jump in whenever you want, Devin.
All right.
So at the beginning, Jimmy's all happy because actually he's not that happy. Like, he has things on his mind. Gotta be best behavior. Gotta treat my cousin nice. Gotta prove that I can act good for my dad. So then Len comes, and he's like, sweet, my older cousin. I get to hang out with him. Oh, he has games. They're better than Zapazoids? That sounds great. Let's do that. And then I think the first big moment, and then, like, Jimmy gets kind of irritated as it goes on, like, choosing names and stuff, and he's like, I don't want to do any of this, it sounds like too much work. And then he's like, but I'm supposed to be on my best behavior, you're my cousin, I find you really cool because you're older than me, so let's, like, do this. Sure, I'll just play along with your weird game for now. And then once he finally gets the sword and stuff, he starts to get more into it, and he's like, okay, maybe this is something I could find fun and really get into. And then at the point where he says, like, oh, you mean we have to pray? That's the moment where he's like, maybe my first instincts were right, and this is really weird. Maybe I should tell someone. But then Len's like, come on, it's not like this. It's like this. And
you make it so creepy, which it is.
Yeah, I know. It is, but,
yeah.
So then Jimmy's like, well, maybe it's just one thing, so I'll let it slide just this once. Besides, we had fun when we were doing the sword fights and stuff. And maybe we could just take a little break from the game, go to its end, let things calm down a bit. So they go to its end after some things blow over and they get in a bit of a fight. And Jimmy gets a little frustrated, probably thinking, like, if Len's gonna be like this, maybe I should just leave the game. But then Len promises to do lots of things, and he's like, we can go camping, and we can do a bunch of fun stuff. And Jimmy's like, oh, I want to go camping, so might as well. And then Len's also telling him about, like, all these powers, and you can tell that Jimmy is a little bit nervous, and he's trying to use humor to kind of hide it, like how Jason does when he's on, like, missions and stuff. He, like, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, he's using jokes to try and, like, diffuse the situation and be like, oh, it's like this. Like, I do the same thing lots. And so he's like, if I just do this, it won't be as bad. Like, if I joke around, maybe he'll be like, oh, I was joking too. It's just a big joke. No one has powers like this. But then he starts to get more serious, and then Jimmy starts to get a little bit scared, and he's like, good night, John Dell. Click.
The line about, like, the light in your eyes tells me you're not ready. It's like, you're not ready because you still have some light left in your soul. But we talked about that last time.
And so, anyway, so then Jimmy's like, maybe I should be worried about something, and, like, Donna's acting weird, but she's Donna, so I won't go into it.
Trials
that's
of
from
adolescence.
Jimmy's perspective, by the way. And so then, where are we now? So then he has the talk with George. So he has, like, some lingering feelings in the back of his head, like, okay, maybe, like, Len's been acting weird. We're not supposed to tell Mr. Whittaker. I tell him everything. We had to pray to this thing. He's talking about powers. I don't know what's going on. He starts to get to the point where, like, maybe I'll probably get in trouble with an adult if they realize what's been going on. So I'm just going to keep on playing along with it for now. Maybe it'll turn out it's not that bad. And I don't want to get in trouble or anything. So then his dad starts to tell him this stuff about Len. And so then Jimmy's like, oh, I really want to tell him, but what if he gets angry at all the stuff that's been going on? He'll also probably think I was the one who messed up Donna's doll and stuff like that, and I'll get in really big trouble. And then Len will probably get sent home. And he doesn't want that to happen. Like I said, cooler, older cousin wants to spend time with him.
I think it also might have been, like, in where he was asking, where George asked Jimmy about, like, if he was smoking or something, and he kind of sounds like, nope, none of that going on, almost like, he was worried something bad was going to happen, so he's, like, glad, like, nope, Len's not smoking, like, I can take that fact in my mind and use that to justify the fact that everything is fine with Len, and that kind of reassures my confidence in him, because, no, he doesn't smoke, which means that he's great, and he's great, so I can trust him about these things.
Yeah, because he's, like, older cousin, role model, I already got into that.
Yeah.
So then he's like, also, we won't be able to go camping if we both get in trouble. And I really want to go camping. Because remember how excited Jimmy was about that? And so they finally go camping. And then Jimmy's, like, pretty uneasy, but they start sword playing again. He's like, oh, this is so much fun. Maybe I was wrong. Everything's good. So then they start having the weird ritual thing. And then Jimmy's like, okay, I'm really uneasy about this. Maybe I should go inside. And then it kind of gets to the point of no return. And then he's like, building up feelings. I have to say something. And he's like, no, I just have to stay calm. And then it gets to the point where he's like, by the way, we have this. And then that's kind of the, like he's, in my mind, I'm going to defend this line, like what? You really did steal it?
All right, go ahead.
My guess is he got to the point where he's like, he's got so many emotions building up at this, like, at the same time, he doesn't really know what to say. So he just says, like, a random thing. Like, it's happened to me before. Like, one time, Mom and I were driving, and we almost got hit, and we were just talking about chairs, because we were looking at, like, spinny chairs and stuff. We almost got hit, and instead of me yelling, look out for that car, so she stopped, I pointed forward and I yelled, chair. And we'd stopped talking about chairs for 2 minutes. And I was thinking, and a flash in my mind thought, like, we are going to die because I cannot use the proper terminology. And also, Kingdom Hearts fans will get this. One of the characters dies in one of the games, the best friend of one character, and he has, like, so many emotions coming up, and they always have snacks together, and he's like, who will I have ice cream with? And some people interpret that as, like, oh, he's so dumb, he's just hungry and stuff. But other people take it as, he has so many emotions going on, he doesn't really know what to say, so he just says something really weird, like the first thing that kind of slips in and out of his mind without thinking. But that's not what it is,
though. It's because Axel told him that that's how you define friendship.
Yeah, I know, but it's both of those things. Some people read it as both those things combined. I think it's more of that one, because, yeah, that's my personal opinion. But anyway, I think the thing is, Jimmy was just, like, so didn't know what to do, flustered and confused and terrified. And there's, like, all the noises outside. It is terrifying. He doesn't know what to do. And then he just, like, he hears that, and he's like, what? You did this? And he kind of says it without thinking, and he still wants to know the answer, but he just kind of says it in a way that makes it sound like it's the utmost important fact at the moment. And so then Len's just like, yeah, why not? And then Jimmy's like, I have to get out of here. And Len's like, it's too late.
I can't get messed up with all that, man. Don't mess with the big D.
And so then Jimmy's, like, screaming, and he doesn't know what to do. And then finally, like, the tent opens, and he's like, this is it. I don't know what's gonna happen. Are we gonna die? He doesn't know what's going on. And then it's Whit, and then you can just hear, like, Mr. Whittaker, and just, like, the sense of relief. And then I can't even imagine what was going on through his head once Len left, and then they're having the final scene, the lemonade. I really like that scene because it's Jimmy just, like, trying to figure everything out and relax, and it also gives the audience time to relax. So wow. What do you think?
You just went through the entire two-parter in detailed summary there.
But from Jimmy's point of view, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll allow it.
What's that face mean?
Yeah, I'd agree. That was a good justification for Jimmy's line.
I was also trying to justify some other stuff too, but
yeah, that's good.
That was just kind of a bonus in there.
Interesting point. I wanted to add my last point, I believe. Yes. Excuse me. That I thought was interesting. What Len said about power, I find really interesting because I was at camp a number of years ago. I think it was. I can't remember exactly where this story comes from 100%. I think I was at camp at Pines in the cafeteria, facing the door, right side of the room. I was talking with Pastor Dwight, and I don't think Dwight told the story though. It was maybe the camp preacher for the week. I think Mom was there, and maybe a couple other people.
Anyway.
And someone was telling us about how he'd been talking with a Wiccan once, a Satanist, and she told him that the reason that she and so many other people were drawn to their Wiccan beliefs over Christianity was this immediate, tangible acquisition of power. Because when you're a Christian, you are connected with the source of true and everlasting power, infinite, but you don't control that power. We have, we're connected to that source that created the universe, but we're completely dependent on God for what happens in our lives and how that power is used. They preferred Satanism, where even though demonic powers are so weak and watered down and insignificant compared to the raw glory of God, they controlled, or at least, in that moment, they were able to believe that they were controlling that power, or they could to a point. So even though that power was so much lesser, they wanted it because they could control it for themselves. They weren't dependent on someone. They didn't have to pray and maybe it would happen. They had that power that they were controlling themselves, which I guess technically they weren't, but they were allowed to control that in that moment instead of having to be reliant on someone else's will. Like we have to be reliant on God's will for him to use his power. So I thought that was really interesting that Len's ideas about that seemed to line up there with that. So another plus 5 more points for spiritual accuracy.
So...
And that's everything I have to say about Castles
I
and
don't know
Cauldrons.
about you, but I like part 2 a lot more than part 1. Just because, I don't know, there's this real sense of tension and you don't know what's going to happen.
I wish I had a lot more.
It's very suspenseful.
Because part 1's good too, but...
I mean, part 1's good too, but, suspense-wise.
Yeah. Alright, final ratings, you're first.
I think that I'd give it 5 out of 5 stars because I really like this 2-parter. It may scare, the skin off of me. I can think of a better expression there. It may
Some
scare
Bill
me.
Cipher stuff there.
It may scare me a lot in some places. Well, not a lot, but creep me out. But I really enjoy it. And also, it's always great to hear Richard/Len's voice actor because he is...
I forgot about that again.
One of my favorite people.
I always forget that's Nathan Carlson.
Works at Odyssey, or used to work at Odyssey. I don't know if he still works there. But he's one of my... Richard's one of my favorite characters. So whenever I hear VA, I'm always like, yeah, 10 points to that person, even though they're not the same person, but they are. I really like some of the dialogue in this episode, especially Jimmy's dialogue in that one scene where he's making fun of everything that Len is saying. And yeah, I really like this episode. Even the bath scene. Why are you guys looking at it like that? That's weird. Stop it. But yeah.
All right. So for me, I think I'll say 4.7.
Oh, also one more thing. I really like Donna's role in this episode. I know it wasn't big, but even though it's probably looked over by a lot of people, it did play a big puzzle piece part in connecting a lot of smaller puzzle pieces. And I like that. What about you?
Yeah. Okay, so 4.8, because they're all, even though, there's a decent-sized detractor in the episode, but overall, it is fantastic. The sound design and the music has a really unique...
music!
Calm down. really unique feel to it. It's a very iconic Jimmy Barkley episode. Sorry. It's definitely the most mature and deep and realistic look at spiritual warfare that we've gotten on this show, which is really crazy. And it looks at it from a very mature and accurate perspective, and the descriptions and stuff goes, they could have copped out huge on that end of things for this episode. Like, they could have done that so much less and just kind of written it off so easily, and it would not have gone noticed by most people, but they didn't, because it's Paul McCusker. Did a phenomenal job with that, from Whit's conversations about like the feeling of that negative spiritual pressure on him, to Len talking about power and his desire for it, to all those things. I'm sorry, it's late. All these things are fantastic, very good, which is why it is an amazing episode. The detractor, as I've said, is the fact that in connecting it to RPGs, even though it is something which can theoretically happen, it's something which is very statistically unlikely, and while I think it's good to make kids aware of that possibility, it is very important to make it clear that that is not a necessary case. It is not a 100% cause to effect relationship, and from what I've seen from people on the internet, there were a lot of people who were negatively impacted by the episode because of the effect that it had on their parents and what their parents let them do, because their parents, you know, freaked out over this episode and they're like, you can't do this or this or that or that. And lots of people apparently, you know, it put a thorn in their side with relation to this show, and even in their relationship to the church. And I'm doubtful that they had a real relationship with God, if that was going on, but, you know, their relationship to Christianity, at least, and their thoughts about it because of that. So I do have to detract for that. So yeah, 4.7. That's my rating. And that's everything. Next time on the Adventures in Odyssey Oddcast. Guess what? Guess what happens next time?
What is it?
Season 58!
Oh, we're jumping into a review next time?
The Ties That Bind, yep.
Oh, okay. We're gonna review The Ties That Bind Part 2 next time,
And 1. Parts 1 and 2.
Oh yeah, Parts 1 and 2.
Yes.
Forgot about that.
Yes.
I thought, for some reason, we reviewed the first.
Well, we recorded it already, but it hasn't come out yet.
Oh! Right, that is why.
Yes.
I was thinking, I thought we recorded that, but we did.
We did, yes. And it will come out soon. Parts 1 and 2 of The Ties That Bind. 14-part episode miniseries season, all written by Paul McCusker. With all the same title.
So, Devin, out of The Ties That Bind and The Ties That Bind, which Ties That Bind is your favorite?
I'm going to have to paint the whale on this one, Victoria.
Oh, okay.
All right, so until then, next time, I've been Devin Francis, also known as Leonard Meltzner.
And I've been an experienced whale painter.
And you've been watching The Adventures in Odyssey Oddcast.
Bye, guys.